That's good to know. Moving on to another topic, there's another one for you, Mr McCartney. You might remember we discussed at the November round of estimates the memorandum of understanding between the AFP and the National Commission of Supervision in China, and we both agreed that since that was first signed in 2018, circumstances have moved on and the relationship is somewhat different bilaterally. You indicated that it was going to expire this year and that AFP would consider whether or not it should be renewed in light of those changed circumstances. What's an update on that for me?
Senator, I did answer the questions the Senator had estimates, but I think as I've noted before, there's been a restructure in the AFP and Deputy Commissioner Gale's now in charge of our international network. So I'll pass to Lisa.
Thank you, Senator. Consistent with what my colleague indicated to you previously, we have not continued or re-signed that particular MOU.
Great. When did it expire?
If you give me a moment, I should be able to. Sorry, Senator, just find
That's all right.
Where is it? It's here. Task force
As Deputy Commissioner Gale's obviously looking for it, we were never going to re-sign it, Senator.
That's good to hear. What caused you to form that view that it shouldn't be re-signed?
The environment's changed, Senator, and again, I think as we discussed last time, we're agile but very clear-eyed in terms of the relationship that we have with China. And we, in effect, we didn't see the requirement for that to continue. There was minimal interaction with that agency in relation to the work that we do.
Yeah, you certainly, when I asked you about this in November last year, you certainly hinted that you were reviewing it in light of the changed circumstances, but you weren't as equivocal, you weren't as kind of direct as you just were then, that it was never going to be renewed. So I'm interested in both when it came to an end and also when the decision was taken formally to not renew it.
Sure, I think, again, in terms of a point in time, there's obviously a range of discussions in terms of our engagement with China. But
it's obviously at some point between now and November last year, because in November last year you didn't say, we've decided to end this. So obviously a decision was taken at some point to end it.
I think it's fair to say we're heading in that direction.
Yeah, that was certainly what I picked up as well. But you weren't able to say that at that time. So obviously something's changed in between.
Yeah. But well, I think it's not that it's changed. It's in effect the environment is what it is. But I think a key aspect is the level of interaction with that agency is minimal. We don't see the requirement, noting there are other MOUs in place, particularly with MPS, that we adhere to.
Yep. Did you have that date, Commissioner
Gale? As you correctly said, Senator, it was last signed on the 13th of December 2018 for then a period of 5 years.
Right, so it actually probably hasn't expired yet then. It would be still current until December this year?
It's due for review this year.
Right, okay. So just to clarify the evidence then, it's still in operation?
It is, but it's one that's not been utilised, if I can be frank, Senator, in terms of interaction with that agency. And again,
it's dormant.
It's dormant, and again, the decision, the organisational position has been made that we won't re-sign that
Good.
MOU.
I welcome that. I think that's the right decision.
Senator Patterson, I'm going to share the call shortly.
Sure. Okay, just a final question on this topic then. Did you consult with colleagues across government in arriving at this decision? The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Attorney-General, were there any other decision makers, ONI, PM&C, anyone else involved in arriving at this decision?
Yes.
Could you provide on notice who was consulted?
Oh, listen, Senator, I think it's fair to say that we're not looking at a point of time. China's an issue we discuss in a very regular basis.
I know, but I mean, presumably there's some process around this, right? You didn't just pick up the vibe, China's not in vogue anymore, we better not renew this. But presumably a conversation was had at some point, whether through a interdepartmental committee or a minute, a note, there was something, surely. Sure.
Listen, we'll take that on notice. It's an ongoing decision, but ultimately it's a decision for the AFP and obviously in consultation with those agencies.
Okay. Well, as I said, I welcome it. Good decision. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Senator Patterson. Senator Polley.